Buenas tardes, bienvenido a la semana 4. Están viendo el video de Vista General en que voy a explicar lo que necesitan hacer esta semana. Y semana 4 es sobre capítulo 3. ¿Sí? Los objetivos y metas. So during this week in chapter 3, you're going to be able to express more ideas and more actions in the present tense. You're going to learn some irregular as well as stem-changing verbs. You will express future ideas by using the going to do something, so the ir a with an infinitive. You'll recognize the difference between and talk about what and whom you know using the two verbs to know, saber y conocer. Also using the personal a, which has no translation or function in English, but is there with direct objects that are people. You'll be able to describe people, places, and things using appropriate structures. We're looking at ser and estar. We're looking at our adjective agreement as well as direct object pronouns. You'll have some clothing vocabulary. You'll also learn about some idioms that use the verb tener, where in English we would say like, I am afraid. And in Spanish, you literally have to say, I have fear. Okay? Be talking about the differences between ser and estar, okay? And using proper etiquette while talking on the phone. Okay? So you're watching the video now, and as always, you'll be completing the textbook. There is a vocabulary quiz in Blackboard. Don't forget about those 2 hours of language or cultural contact. You'll also have a grammatical quiz on my Spanish lab, and you will be turning in your first language and cultural contact presentation, and that will be due this Sunday. Now, this is just a reminder that your midterm oral exam is going to be on Thursday and Friday of this week, and so February 2nd or 3rd. So if you have not already, make sure you have clicked on this link, and also make sure that your time is correct in your Google Calendar. Sometimes if your time is incorrect, for example, I show a 9 o'clock appointment and it's showing up as a 4 in the afternoon appointment. So make sure your time is correct. Okay, so this week you're doing what you're doing. You're watching the week 4 Vista General. You're going to read the textbook. We're going to be covering pages 67 through 99 this week. And I do have, as always, a detailed plan, Semana 4 plan, which you can download here or here. This is to help you stay on track with your assignments. Complete the quiz. And this is going to be words and expressions that are associated with a patient intake form. You'll study these forms and the quiz is on Blackboard. And you'll have, for Chapter 3, a grammar quiz, which will show up in the list of activities as the last 6 on the list. Okay? And don't forget that first language and cultural contact presentation and the oral exam. So, Semana 4 quiz. Okay? You will watch the voiced over PowerPoint to learn what are the terms that are on an intake form. And this is part 1. There will be another part. Okay? Here, as some people were having issues, here's how to use accent marks. Okay? And then when you are ready, you will take your vocabulary quiz, okay, by clicking on this link. You'll have 15 minutes and it'll be 10 words. You only have 1 attempt. Okay, so if I go back to Semana 4, the next thing will be the link to submit your first language and cultural contact presentation. So if I go over here, here's from the syllabus. It talks about how it should be a voiced over PowerPoint. Okay. You should use, you can use Google Hangouts on Air, or as I use, Screencast-O-Matic. I've mentioned that before. Now you want to make it approximately 5 minutes in length, and it will be in English. Okay? The main idea here is this is kind of how you're logging those 2 hours you spent each week on learning outside of the virtual classroom. And so you will need to kind of talk about, summarize basically what you did, okay, how long you did it, who you did it with, etc. Give us some of the new vocabulary. Now, you don't have to put down all vocabulary, okay, but the biggest part is I want you to look at the cultural practices or nuances observed. How do some of these cultural practices, how people behave with one another, for example, or how they interact with one another, or, what are some similarities and differences in these practices or nuances between what you observed and your own culture. Okay. When you are ready, you will click on here and you will post your link, okay, because you can put it as a YouTube video, post the link, and after you create a thread. Okay. So the first thing you do is you click here, and when I click here, I will go to create a thread, and it is here I would put, for example, my name, Profa Peterson. I apologize, it says due September 11th. I will change that. That is incorrect, obviously. Okay, and then I would say Profa Peterson, sorry. And then I would put L, Language Cultural Presentation 1. Okay. And then this is where I would post my link, and I would submit when I'm ready. Okay. So I will change that due September 11th because that obviously is not correct. It is due February 5th at 11:59 p.m. Okay. Going back, here's again the link to the Google Calendar. Okay. You want to make sure that you sign up for a time before Tuesday, January 31st. And please let me know if there are issues. Some of you already have done that, and I appreciate that. And the midterm oral exam. You do not have to copy and paste this onto a Word document. I have it right here. Okay. But the exam is going to take, approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. And you will go to that Connect website that I have there, where it's connect.asu.edu/mpeterson. Okay, make sure your calendar is set to Arizona time so we don't have the schedule conflicts, and make sure your webcam is working. Make sure your microphone is working. Okay. If there is a technical problem for whatever reason, we will do the interview over the phone, but hopefully that will not be the case. Okay. Please be on time for your scheduled appointment, but also be patient because sometimes people are not on time and it may get put back just a couple minutes. So please be patient as you wait. What to study for the oral exam? Well, it consists in 2 parts. The first part is a vocabulary quiz, and the second part is a role play. So the vocabulary quiz is going to be over the patient intake form part 1. So you definitely want to do the quiz on that vocabulary before you take the oral exam. What I will do is I will choose 10 of the words in English, and you will give me the translation of those words in less than 3 seconds. Basically, I want to make sure that you are not reading or trying to look up the word. Okay, so that will go rather quickly. The second part will be a role play. So I will choose one of the dialogues. Okay, it could be, probably will not be one as that was rather short, but it could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so you are already familiar with those, and then we will just run through those or one of those together. Okay? And so the rubric for grading the role play is actually the same. So the midterm oral exam is 70 points, 10 points, one for each vocabulary word, and 60 points for the conversation. Okay? And then as always, there's a recursos tab, which will help you, can give you some information, for example, on irregular verbs in the O form, irregular stem changers. Okay? And so this is just outside information that can help you in this chapter. Okay? Well, that is all for this week. Because we have the oral exam, there will be no formal online dialogues with your partners. Next week, I will assign new partners for 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? And as always, please let me know if you have any questions, algunas preguntas. If not, si no, que tengan una buena semana.